Good gods, there's been a murder here.
Off to the herd, little sheep. Away you go.
A young magister stands pale and silent. Her knuckles whiten around her weapon as you pass. Behind the magister, a bloodied mass lies in a heap. Gore and limbs lie at odd angles. You can't make out a face amid the mess.
Easy now. Why don't you move along? Get some fresh air. Waters is investigating. She'll figure out who did it. Always does. Aren't you enterprising? I'll let Waters tell you no herself. Go ahead. She with the body. Nothing to see here. There's been a murder. A sorcerer was killed by one of your own. Lucky you were busy getting your collar fitted at the time, or you'd be a suspect like the rest of them. Waters is investigating. It's a small ship. His name was Finn. Oddball. Looked to me like he saw something he wished he hadn't before he came here. We'll find out who did it, one way or another. Nothing to see here. There's been a murder. Waters is investigating. She'll figure out who did it. Or... You surprised? You're one of them. You know what sorcerers are capable of? Whoever did this found a way around their collar and killed a man. Small ones this time, thank the gods. We'll find out who did it, one way or another. Move along. Nothing to see here. Nothing to see here.
The pale young woman doesn't acknowledge you. She nods to the right without moving her gaze from the ground. The pale young woman does...
Ugly sight, isn't it? Burns me up this happened under our protection. We're extremely lucky no Voidwalker followed the source that did this. Finn didn't see it like that. He was desperate for us to help him. Two things scared the living daylights out of him. His own shadow and his own source. We'll find out who did this. Speaking of...
She looks up at you with a mirthless smile.
I was on duty in your room when the murder happened. You were asleep the whole time. Didn't even stir. You're one of the only indisputably innocent people on the ship. Unless you can commit murder in your sleep, of course. Not with that collar on, you aren't. Listen, I could use someone to keep their ears open among the passengers. Sometimes they clam up in front of a uniform. Bring me a good lead, and I'll throw in a shiny gold coin for you. How about that? Thanks. I just want to catch whoever did this before they hurt anyone else.
She looks up at you with a mirth.
I was on duty in your room when You're one of the only indisputably innocent. I thought as much. Listen, bring me a good lead, and I'll... A man of principle. I get it. Wonder how you'll feel when whoever did this does it again. You let me know if you hear anything. Whoever did this is dangerous. So, anything interesting for me? So, anything interesting for... Ugly sight, isn't it? Burns me up this happened under our protection. We're extremely lucky no void walk.
She looks up at you with...
I was on duty. You're one of the only indisputably innocent people on the ship. Finn was killed by Source. If a Magister could do that, there wouldn't be a Magister. It looks more like a passenger managed to slip their collar. And the rest, well, you see the evidence in front of you. Listen, bring me a good lead, and I'll throw in a shiny gold coin for you. Think about it. It's one of you who got killed, not one of us. We want to find who did it and bring them to justice. Who's your real enemy here? You let me know if you hear anything. So, anything interesting for me? Not in here, it isn't. You let me know if you... So, I'll take that as a no. So, anything interesting? Right. Tick-tock. Yes, this is a rare kind of magic. I'll need to write to headquarters right away. So, anything interesting for me?
A no doesn't become a yes over time, you know.
I'm here because I'm magic. Are you here because you're weird? Do you know Losa? She's a really good singer. I'm better though. Listen. La 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 la.
How dare you classify this slop as food? I've seen more appetizing things coming out of plague-stricken pigs.
Hey there, weirdo! Hey there, weirdo! Hey there, What's your job? You look like a magic maker. Like me, but maybe not so strong.
You look like my daddy. His name is Frida. He's waiting for me at home. Hi. Do you like to play ball? We like to play ball.
What's your job?
Put a knuckle in it. I'm
Hi.
trying to concentrate. They don't care
Ah, there you are. Husband. Would you please tell this very charming gaggle of not at all brat-like babes that I am by no accounts this Losa woman, nor do I sing, in fact. I'm deathly allergical. How very correct you are, spouse of mine. Madame Josephine Gribbles de Peeb refuses to be confused with anyone else. What? What's so funny?
Her pinched face cracks into a great grin, and she shoos the children away from her with a laugh.
Yeah, okay, you found me out. Go on and git, and maybe I'll sing you something when I'm good and ready.
She turns to you, dark-eyed and dirty-haired, and smiles flatly.
Gotta keep ourselves entertained, haven't we? You presume right. Nope, trying not to find anything out either. Ignorance is bliss. The utterer, the better. Thanks, but I already belong to an elite and exclusive ship gang. We play ball every day after lunch. You're too soft for it. You take care, though.
Suddenly, her eyes cloud to an unnatural black. Greyish veins run down her face, and her mouth tightens into a cruel sneer. As quickly as they came, the clouds clear. She smiles as though no change came over her.
Good luck, Chief.
The young woman seems about to raise her hand, but quickly remembers herself and nods pointedly at the excited children.
Who indeed? Why, my name is, Madame Josephine Gribbles de Peeb.
The children break out.
I say, it...
Her pinched face cracks into a great grin, and she shoos the children away from her with a laugh.
Yeah, okay, you found me out. Go on and git, and maybe I'll sing you something when I'm good and ready.
She turns to you, dark-eyed and dirty-haired, and smiles flatly.
Gotta keep ourselves entertained, haven't we? You presume right. Nope, trying not to find anything out either. Ignorance is bliss. The utterer, the better.
Suddenly, her eyes cloud to an unnatural black. As quickly as they...
Good luck, Chief.
I'm trying to concentrate.
Why, I never. I left my good pals at home, or I'd be clutching them with all my daintiest, most ladylike might. Say as you will, husband. Madame Josephine Gribbles de Peeb won't be treated so.
The children break out.
What?
Her pinched face cracks into a great grin.
Yeah, okay.
She turns to you.
Gotta keep ourselves entertained, haven't we? Like yourself, maybe. I don't mind the kiddies, usually.
Suddenly, her eyes, as quickly as they came, the clouds...
Good luck, Chief. Take it easy, Chief. You don't want to get noticed for the wrong reason.
You think me mad? Mad? Insufferable, surely. What are you trying to hear anyway? I'll tell you if you can keep it quiet long enough for me to listen.
Oh, they're not so bad. At least, not when they're treating me, Madame Josephine Gribble de Peeb, with due deference.
The children break out.
What?
Her pinched face...
Yeah, okay, you found me out. Go on and... Ah, there you are. Husband, would you please tell this very charming gaggle of not how very correct... What?
Her pinched face...
Yeah, okay, you found me...
She turns to you.
Gotta keep ourselves entertained, haven't we?
Quiet long enough for me to listen.
Guess you aren't a creative type, are you, Chief? I say they're one and the same. Nope, trying not to find out thanks, but I already belong to an elite. You take care, though.
Suddenly, her eyes, as quick...
Good luck, Chief. Take it easy, Chief.
Hey there, weirdo! Hi! Do you like to play ball? We like to play ball.
I've never dined on anything less than a dozen-course dinner, and I don't intend to do away with the custom.
Well, there has been a murder, Your Majesty. Maybe that has the Magisters more concerned than your appetite.
Don't you get saucy with me when you clearly don't know the first thing about sauce.
You! Sorcerer! Blood? No!
Please, please,
Go!
please.
Oof.
A no doesn't become a yes over time, you know.
Name? The Divine Order wants to know. Well, you aren't here on my list. Scrammy. We're trying to catch a killer here.
Would you put a knuckle in it? I'm trying to concentrate.
Not so fast. Name? Well, you aren't here on my list. Scrammy. We're trying to catch a killer here.
Coming out of plague-stricken pigs.
There's nothing else I can make, Your Majesty. Turnips and water are all I was given.
Unacceptable. I've never dined on anything less than a dozen-course dinner, and I don't intend to do away with the custom.
Well, there has been a murder, Your Majesty.
Maybe that has the Magisters more concerned than your appetite.
Don't you get saucy with me when you clearly don't know the first thing about sauce.
Here to register, sir. Good, good. Magister Williams is just about done with the last passenger. You faring okay so far? I'm glad to hear it. You head on in now. Williams will get you sorted fast.
I know it.
Trust me, with Bishop Alexander in charge, things will get a lot better from here on out. He's God-woken, you know. You head on in now. Williams will get you... Of course I do. Seems void-woke can dog your heels like a shadow. That's no way to live, is it? You'll see. We're gonna help you. You head on in now. Williams will get you sorted fast.
He tugs the collar of his uniform and chuckles.
Sorry you're upset, sir, but we all wear what we wear for a reason. You head on in now.
Carrying on. One of us wouldn't kill our own. They're picking us off one by one.
Take care of yourself now. Take care of yourself now.
You think me mad?
Mad? No. Insufferable? Surely.
What are you trying to hear anyway?
I'll tell you if you can keep it quiet long enough for me to listen.
Sing us a song. I know you can.
A no doesn't become a yes over time, you know.
I've seen more appetizing things coming out of plague-stricken pigs.
There's nothing else I can make, Your Majesty. Turnips and water are all I was given.
Like I said, you aren't on the list.
On anything less than a dozen-course dinner, and I don't intend to do away with the custom.
Well,
You one of them? A Divine Order loyal? They killed a sorcerer, you know. They'll hide the evidence well enough, but make no mistake.
Don't you get saucy with me when you clearly don't know the first thing about sauce.
I didn't do nothing, okay? It was one of them, one of your people, human.
That right? I always knew you'd turn out rotten, Ben Mezd.
I didn't do nothing, okay? It was
closest to our divine, like wolves around a campfire.
Well, you've got this wolf on a leash now.
Soon as the Inquisitor gets here, we'll hang you right over the side of this ship with it.
A broad dwarf sits totally upright on the bench, eyes closed, palms face up on his knees. His beard is a cascade of meticulous plaits, each one braided through with golden medallions.
How dare you classify this slop as food?
He raises an eyebrow as you approach, but doesn't open his eyes.
Listen up, boy. You hear that?
turnips and water are all
He turns his head toward you, looking you up and down, and smiles before turning his attention to the ship once more.
You look like a boy to me. Listen if you're interested, or get gone if you aren't. The ship, of course.
A wave of sound washes over you. The unintelligible chatter of your shipmates, the groaning of wood from floor to ceiling, the boom, crash and crackle of waves around you, complaints from the sea itself.
Never thought you'd end up a prison guard, Vic.
That right? I always knew you'd turn out rotten, Ben Mezd. Your kind always hung closest to our divine, like wolves around a campfire.
And? Sick as a leper's cat. From the state of it, I'd say she's being cared for by a bunch of beardless babes who never loved anyone but their own mums. But there's more. Listen close. There now, just like that.
Squeak!
Aha!
His eyes snap open as his countenance breaks into an expression of joy. One great paw claps you on the back. The other catches you before you lose your footing.
There. You heard it, didn't you? I knew it. I knew it. Aye, this is good news, boy. Good news.
You've got this wolf on a leash now.
No, you beautiful idiot. That wasn't any rat. It was the wheel. Squeaks whenever the helmsman jerks it clockwise, which means we're heading east. Burn my beard. That means if we've been travelling for, yes, only 10.34 nautical miles to Fort Joy.
Never thought you'd end up a prison guard, Vic.
That right? I always knew you'd turn out rotten, Ben Mezd. Your kind have always hung closest to our device.
Ah, so you've eyes as well as ears, eh? You'll go far, mate. Even here.
You've got this wolf on a leash now.
No indeed, boy. But that ain't my final destination.
The dwarf leans back from the table and strokes his beard, gold medallions jingling merrily. His eyes roll over to you.
That'll be all. Thank you kindly, boy.
He continues stroking his beard, a beatific smile on his lips, and doesn't acknowledge you anymore.
Classify this slop as food. I've seen more appetizing things coming out of...
If you'll be pardoning me, I'll be much obliged.
His eyes snap open. He looks at you and frowns.
Murder? Ah, that's what they were going on and on about. I wouldn't know anything about it. I kill a man. He knows who done it. His daddy knows who done it. And the mayor knows who done it too.
His eyes flutter shut, and he assumes his position of repose once more.
Whether they catch me is another matter, but I ain't one to hide my accomplishments. If you'll be pardoning me, I'll be much obliged.
I've seen more appetite.
The ship, of course.
Is that right? Have a few...
He turns his head.
You look like a boy. Listen, if you're interested. The ship, of course.
A wave of sound. The fellow cocks his ear, listening.
That isn't anger. It's...
He cocks his ear to the other side, then smiles.
Anticipation. She senses something. I'd hold on to my breeches if I were you, mate. That's all you hear, though. Listen close. You've got ears on your head, haven't you? Do you need me to show you how to use them? Huh? A calming sort of sound, isn't it? Where there's talk, there's health.
I ain't saying nothing. Bloody dwarves, I'll come back to you, and you better be ready to talk here.
That's all you hear, though. Listen close.
Right. I always...
Then you're not listening hard enough, mate. Go on. There now. Just squeeze. Aha.
His eyes snap open as his countenance breaks into an expression of joy. One...
Then you're there now. Just squeeze. Aha.
His eyes snap...
There. You heard it, didn't you? I knew it. I knew... Yes. I know what that means. Heading for the joy we are. And after that...
The dwarf leans back from the table and strokes his...
That'll be all. Thank you kindly, boy.
Never thought you'd end up a prison guard, Vic.
I ain't saying nothing. Bloody dwarves. I'll come
It's
back.
the wheel. Don't you see, you beautiful idiot? Squeaks whenever the helmsman jerks it clockwise, which means... No, you beautiful idiot. Burn my beard. That means... if we've been travelling for... Yes, only 10... no indeed, boy.
The dwarf leans back from the table.
That'll be all. Thank you kindly, boy. Captain, actually. And that figure tells me we're getting close to the joy. Close to what lies beyond it, too.
The dwarf leans back from the table and strokes his...
That'll be all. Thank you kindly, boy.
Your kind always hung closest to our...
If you'll be pardoning me, I'll be much obliged.
Your kind always hung closest to our divine, like wolves around a campfire.
I didn't do nothing, okay? It was one of them.
You've got this wolf on a leash now.
Soon as the Inquisitor gets here, we'll hang you right over the side of this ship with it.
Come on, please, Losa. That's enough
It was one of them. I know it.
You put a knuckle in it. I'm trying to concentrate.
They don't care about us. We're like cattle to them.
I'll give you that knuckle if you keep carrying on.
One of us wouldn't kill our own.
I spent my life singing for my slaves to bring me my supper. Finer fare than boiled roots and rotten tubers, too.
Mad? Insufferable, surely.
Meanwhile, the Magisters feast on honeyed meat behind this very wall. The indignity.
Keep those bolts trained on her, and if she tries to run, shoot.
Never thought you'd end up a prison guard, Vic.
That right? I always knew you'd turn
Who
up.
we are, what we've done, they mean less than nothing as long as these collars choke us. Who we are, what we've done, they mean less than nothing as long as these collars choke us.
As soon as the Inquisitor gets here, we'll hang you right over the side of this ship with it.
This again?
Please, please, please.
Well, well. What have we here? A fresh face in this stale hell. Let's size you up, shall we? See if you'll do.
The lizard looks you up and down, like a farmer would a fetching horse. All of a sudden, he grips you firmly by the chin, with the intent of inspecting your teeth.
I'll give you that knuckle if you keep carrying on. There's some discoloration, as well as a rather disconcerting lack of tongue and gums, but I've seen worse. After all, one can't expect to find prime merchandise on a squalid little ship like this. Now then, to business. You will answer me 3 questions. The first one is this. Can you cook? I'll tell you if you can keep it quiet long enough for me to listen. Ah, music to my beleaguered stomach. On to the second question. Can you knit, weave? In short, tailor? Oh, but to feel the caress of satin on my scarlet skin once more. A most satisfactory answer indeed. On then to my final query. Have you the ability to administer the upkeep of one's personal appearance? The delicate art of cosmetics is what I'm after. The very basics, then. I suppose that's a start.
So, 3 questions asked, 3 questions answered. Let's evaluate, shall we? As per your own testimony, you can cook, tailor, and groom. Well, that just about settles it. I offer you my sincerest congratulations. As of now, you are my slave. Of course you accept. Mine wasn't an offer, it was an order. Anyway, you may leave me for a moment. We'll go over your duties once we reach Fort Joy. Now shoo! When I want you to attend me, I'll whistle. Until then, go stand in a discreet corner somewhere, will you?
Mad? No. Insufferable? Surely.
I'm inspecting your teeth, in case that wasn't spectacularly obvious. There's some discolor. Now then, to business. You will answer me 3 questions. Oh, goodness, no. And don't even mention the demon's testes that are turnips. On to the second question. Can you knit, weave? In short, tailor?
I'll tell you if you can keep it quiet long enough for me to listen.
Yes, I can tell from your vagabond chic, a bag is as good as a shirt kind of style. I shouldn't be getting my hopes up. On then to my final query. Have you the ability to administer the upkeep of one's personal appearance? Just as I thought. That explains what's besieging my nostrils. So, 3 questions asked. As per your own testimony, you have the taste buds of a dung beetle, the fashion sense of a monkey in a clown suit, and your personal hygiene reminds one of a carcass rotting in the sun. That won't do at all, see? I'm sad to say I must deny you the opportunity to be my slave. Ever so sorry.
Would you put
I know, but you just don't have what it takes. A good slave's made of sterner stuff, I'm afraid. Still, hone your skills, and one day you may just qualify for a position in a lesser household than mine. You keep dreaming, you hear?
Can we just
No, please don't come begging me. I told you. You can't be my slave, and that's final. My, we are fierce, aren't we? Not to worry. I'll soon remedy that. Now then, to business. You will answer me 3 questions. The first one is this. In which case I take it your cuisine is limited to the introduction of eggs to hot water. How disappointing. On to the second question. Can you knit, weave? Goodness gracious me, what a bore. Off with you. Quite clearly, you wouldn't have done at all. Shoo. I'm inspecting... Now then, to business. You will answer me 3 and of course a cook who can't taste is about as useful as a dog in a chess game. On to the second question. Can you knit? Oh, but to feel the caress of... On then to my final query. Have you the ability... Goodness gracious me, what a bore. Off with you. The acceptable distance for you to keep from me is at least 50 yards. Or the grave. How dare you classify this slop as food? The acceptable distance for you to keep from me. Now then, to business. You will answer me 3 questions. The first one is this. Goodness gracious me. The acceptable distance for you to keep from me. On to the second question. Yes, I can tell. On then to my final query. The very bit. So, 3. As per your own testimony, you can cook and groom, but you have the fashion sense of a monkey in a clown suit. Still, beggars can't be choosers. So without further ado, I offer you my sincerest congratulations. As of now, you are my slave. My slave, of course. Oh, but I see. Yes, I suppose it must take some time for the full extent of this honor to sink in. Anyway, you may leave me for a moment. We'll go over your duties once we reach Fort Joy. Now, shoo!
I always knew you'd turn out rotten, Ben Mezd. Your kind always hung closest to our divine.
Who we are, what we've done.
When I want you to attend me, I'll whistle. Until then...
Can we just skip to the part where I reassure you?
On to the second question. Can you knit, weave? Oh, but on then to my final query, just as I thought. So, 3. As per your own testimony, you can cook and tailor, but your personal hygiene reminds one of a carcass rotting in the sun. Still, beggars can't be choosers. So without further, you should probably come to terms with the fact that you've half a mind, full stop. Rein in your impertinence, will you? I'm a fair man, but I won't spare the rod. Anyway, you may leave me for a moment. When I want you to attend me, I'll whistle. Oh, goodness, no. On to the second question. Oh, but to feel the... On then to my... The very... So, 3. As per your own testimony, you can tailor and groom, but you have the taste buds of a dung beetle. Still, beggars can't be choosers. So without further ado, I... On to the second question. Yes, on then to my... Just as I... So, 3. As per your own testimony, you can cook, but you have the fashion sense of a monkey in a clown suit, and your personal hygiene reminds one of a carcass rotting in the sun. That won't do at all, see? I'm sad to say I must deny you the opportunity to be my slave. Ever so sorry. My slave, of course.
Never thought you'd end up...
Oh, but I see. Yes. I suppose it must take some time for the full extent of my disheartening refusal to sink in. Still, hone your skills and what? No, please don't come begging me. And of course, on to the second question. Can you knit, weave, oh, but to feel the correct... On then to my final, just as I've... So, 3... As per your own testimony, you can tailor, but you have the taste buds of a duck. That won't do at all, see? You should probably come to terms with the fact that you've half a mind, full stop. You'll never attain the... Still. Hone your skill. Oh, goodness. On to the second question. Yes, On then to my... The very basics, then. So, 3... As per your own testimony, you can groom, but you have the taste buds of a dung beetle, and the fashion... That won't do at all, see? You should probably come to terms with the fact that you've half a mind, full stop. You'll never attain the rank of slave with manners such as that. Still. Hone your skills, and one... On to the second. Oh, but to feel the correct... On then to my final query. The very... So, 3... As per your own test, I offer you my Of course you accept. Anyway, you may leave me for a moment. We'll go over your... When I want you to attend me, I'll whisper...
Who we are, what we've done.
I'll tell you if you can keep it quiet long enough for me to listen.
An elf sits tucked away in a dark spot, lazily rolling dice onto the surface of a barrel. They sound like the dry cackling of an old witch.
Snake eyes.
She chuckles.
I bet that's just what they'll look like. Rolling dice, deciding fates. Don't worry, honey. It isn't yours.
She looks you up and down with the merest hint of a coy smile on her lips.
Never say never, though.
She eyes you quite seriously.
Not the future, no. But I can read the past in flesh. One of the perks of being an elf, you see. I'm quite good at it, too. I could lick your arm and tell you how you spent the night before last. Shall I?
She looks at you in surprise when you bare an arm of bone.
My. Guess I'll have to find out the memory from Marrow, won't I?
She gives your arm a vigorous stroke of the tongue, efficient like a cat grooming.
You were in a cellar with other sorcerers, watching, staring at them, hoping that none would stare back.
It was one of them. I know it.
You were desperate to speak up, to reach out, to form a connection with these strange creatures. But you were scared. Terrified, even, of what they might think of you.
She pats you on the shoulder consolingly.
There, don't you worry, darling. Your secret's safe with me. I don't lick and tell.
You think me mad?
The woman keeps rolling her dice. She pays you no further notice.
Sufferable, surely.
She shakes her head.
Game for one, I'm afraid. Rolling dice. Deciding fates.
She eyes you quite...
I could lick your arm and tell you how you spent the night before last.
She chuckles once more.
That red-cheeked refusal tells me more than licking you would. But suit yourself, darling. Don't worry.
She looks you up and...
Never say never.
The woman keeps
Your kind always hung closest to our divine, like...
The woman keeps rolling her dice. She pays you... She shakes her...
Game for one. Rolling... Deciding fates. Don't worry, hun.
She looks you up and...
Never say never, though.
She smiles contemptuously.
Just a kitten in a corner, aren't we?
More appetizing things coming out of plague-stricken pigs.
The woman keeps rolling her dice. She pays you...
Rolling dice, deciding fates. Don't worry, hun.
She looks you up and...
Never say never, though.
She eyes you.
I could lick your arm and tell you how you spent the night before last.
She looks at you in She gives your arm.
You were desperate to speak up, to reach out, to form a connection with the... Of course it is. The truth's right there, skin deep, so to speak. But don't you worry, darling. I don't...
She pats you on the shoulder consolingly.
There, no need to be a sourpuss. You don't have to worry, darling. Your secret's safe with me. I don't lick and...
Nice.
And if she tries to run, shoot to kill. It was one of them.
A scruffy man lounges against the wall with scarred arms folded. A sly smile playing on his face, he stares across at the Magister guarding him. Noticing you, he straightens and beckons for you to come closer.
Watch your back, new fish. There's a murderer on board, and I'd bet 3 months' pay it's this tramp Ifan.
Rolling his eyes at the Magister's warning, the man named Ifan beckons again. He leans in and adjusts your collar with a sharp tug, balancing its weight so it no longer presses unpleasantly on your neck. He winks.
Pinches less that way, right?
Hocking a phlegmy gobbet in your general direction, the sullen Magister settles back to his task of glowering at Ifan. And now, you.
We used to know each other, more's the pity. I was his commander many, many, many moons ago. Isn't that right, Vic?
Standing far back from Ifan, the tight-faced Magister draws one finger across his throat in an elaborate fashion, but says nothing. Ifan grins, flashing pointed white teeth.
Same as he was at 14 years old. Only difference is somebody gave him a bigger sword and now he's Johnny Big Pants. Long story. Maybe I'll tell you about it in the Joy. Away from interested parties. No. The dead man, Finn, is it? I'd no business with him. And I wouldn't put a man down without good reason.
He glances over at Magister Victor, who's staring back at him with pointed intensity.
Damn shame sheer annoyance isn't reason enough. The Joy, I've heard a lot. Nothing good. No surprise there, since Bishop Alexander runs the show. Wonder if we'll get to meet the Ringmaster himself.
I'll tell you if you can keep it quiet long enough for me to listen.
Easy now. I might think the same, but Vic here will blow a blood vessel if he hears you talking like that.
What are you conspiring about over there? You! What's your name?
Oh, don't mind him. Vic's just got a bee in his bonnet. And that bee is me.
Name?
Magister Victor looks at you suspiciously, then scrawls something illegible down in a tiny notebook. He scowls at you as he stows the notebook back in his voluminous robes.
Away with you, at once.
Ifan performs an elaborate pantomime of keeping quiet, one finger in front of his lips as he leans back against the wall.
We just skip to the part where I reassure you and you shut up.
That's it. Off you trot. Lest you want to end up like old Finn did.
Ifan raises his eyebrows, but shakes his head at your attempts to communicate, glancing sideways at the angry face of Magister Victor.
I'll tell you if you can keep it quiet long enough.
He leans in.
Pinches less that.
Hocking a phlegmy gobbet in your general direction, the sullen Magister settles back to his task.
I'd wish you good luck, but I've a feeling you're the one who won't need it. We used to know each other.
Standing far, Ifan grins.
Same as he was at 14 years old. Only different.
Ifan performs an elaborate pantomime of keeping quiet, one finger in front of his lips.
Quiet long enough for me to listen.
No. The dead man. Finn, is it?
He glances over at Magister Victor.
Long story. Maybe I'll tell you about it in the joy. No. The dead man.
He glances over.
Damn shame sheer annoyance isn't reason enough.
Ifan performs an elaborate pantomime of keeping...
The joy. I've heard a lot. Nothing good. No surprise there, since Bishop Alexander runs. Wonder if we'll get to meet the ringmaster himself.
I've seen more appetizing things coming out of plague-stricken...
Not eager to bow before the great Bishop Alexander, son of the Divine himself. My sentiments exactly. But Vic here will blow a blood vessel if he hears you talking like that.
What are you conspiring?
Oh, don't mind him. Vic's just got...
Name!
Magister Victor looks at you suspiciously, then scrawls something illegible down in a tiny notebook.
I'll find out. I always do. Now away with you, at once.
Ifan performs an elaborate pantomime of keeping quiet.
Not interested in the son of the Divine himself. I don't blame you one bit. But Vic here will blow a blood vessel if he hears you talking like that.
What are you conspiring?
Oh, don't mind him.
Name!
I've never dined on anything less than a dozen-course dinner, and I don't intend to do away with the custom.
Magister Victor looks at you suspiciously.
Away with you!
Ifan performs an...
Maybe that has the Magisters more concerned than your appetite.
I'm busy watching for clues, sorcerer. Go take your sub-story somewhere else.
I'd wish you good.
I'm busy watching for clues, sorcerer. Go take your sub-story.
The hatch is blocked. I'll need to find another way.
Nothing to see here.
The pale young woman doesn't acknowledge you.
Off to the herd, little sheep.
It seems as though there's a pattern in the blood flow. That can't be natural.
Off to the herd, little...
be smelling sorts of strong stuff.
So, anything in... I'll take that as an... So, anything interesting for me? Right.
Changed. You are you, but more. You are another, but not. You look to your hands, your belly, your feet. Flesh you don't know, molded into unfamiliar shapes. You cradle your aching head, where another's memories and wisdoms mix with your own. Your fingers trace a line from your head to your face, feeling not the creases of the mask, but the porous surface of new skin. You lower your arm, blink twice, and step forward in this new guise. As the dead man's flesh slides down your throat, you feel his consciousness enter yours. His memories are yours to experience. You are Finn. Your heart is heavy. You know too much. It's all too much. You met him. A bright light blinds you, then fades. You feel a tremendous power in your hands, but they are shaking so hard you can barely use them. Suddenly you're on this very ship, crouched in a corner, hugging your knees. A figure approaches, an older woman. Her eyes are kind. She comes closer. She says she wants to talk. She reaches a hand toward you. You grasp it. The memories end. You are no longer Finn. You return to yourself with a jolt.
Ugly sight, isn't it? Burns me up this happened under our protection. We're extremely lucky no Voidwalker followed the source.
She looks up at you with...
I was on duty in your room. You're one of the only indisputably innocent people on the ship. Finn would... It looks more... Listen, bring me a good lead, and I'll throw in a shiny gold coin for you. Not in here. You let me know. So, anything interesting for me? From his memories, you ate something off his corpse? Please, don't tamper with the evidence. Especially not like that. As for the older woman, I'll have to check out the ship's log. If she's aboard, I haven't met her myself. Must avoid us Reds when she sees us. If you meet anyone like that aboard, maybe you could talk to her. Casually. See when she last spoke to Finn. So, anything interesting from his memories? As for the old, if you meet anyone... So, anything interesting from his memories? You ate something off his... As for the older woman, I'll have to check out the ship's log. If you meet anyone like...
I'll tell you if you can keep it quiet long enough for me to listen.
It seems as though there's a pattern in the blood flow. That can't be natural. I'm not suited for this. It's sea cow, not sea sheep. Haven't got any shears, have you? People these days.
An elf sits tucked away in a
snake eye.
She chuckles.
I bet that's just rolling dice, deciding fates. Don't worry, honey.
She looks you up and down with a mirror.
Never say never, though.
She eyes you.
Not the future. I could lick your arm and tell you.
She looks at you in
my.
She gives your arm a.
You were desperate to speak up.
She pats you.
There. I don't lick.
The woman keeps rolling.
I'll give you that knuckle if you keep carrying on.
One of us wouldn't kill our own. They're picking us off one by one.
Can we just... Sure you and you shut up.
Something has changed. You look to your hands, your belly, your fingers trace a line.
Mad? No. Insufferable? Surely.
What are you trying to hear anyway?
I'll tell you.
As the dead man's flesh slides down your throat, you feel his consciousness enter yours. Your heart is heavy. A bright light suddenly. She reaches out. The memories end.
I'm not...
Put a knuckle in it. I'm trying to concentrate.
They don't care about us.
Carrying on.
One of us wouldn't kill our own. They're picking us off one by one.
Can we just...
When I want you to attend me, I'll
Sure you and you shut up.
Forgive me, Kin. Whether I had more than gruel to serve. If I'd more than cornmeal and rotting roots, I'd concoct something more fitting. Meanwhile, the Magisters feast on honeyed meat.
If you can keep it quiet long enough for me to listen. If you'll be pardoning me, I'll be much obliged.
Never thought
If you'll be
you'd
pardoning me...
That right?
Stay away from the Magisters, brother. They killed that fellow back there. They'll hide the evidence well enough, but I know it all the same.
Well,
As soon as the Inquisitor gets here, we'll hang you right over the side of this ship with it.
The woman keeps rolling her dice.
Off to the herd, little sheep.
So, anything interesting for me? You got an elf for a friend, I guess. Please, don't tamper with the evidence, especially not like that. As for the older woman, I'll have to check out the ship's log. If she's aboard, I haven't met her myself. Must avoid us Reds when she sees us. If you meet anyone like that aboard, maybe you could talk to her. Casually. See when she last spoke to Finn. So, you got an elf for... As for the old... If you meet any...
Insufferable, surely.
What are you trying to hear anyway?
I'll tell you if you can keep it quiet long enough for me to listen.
Sing us a song. I know you can.
Be good, you scallywags.
Never thought you'd end up a prison guard, Vic.
I'm busy watching for clues, sorcerer.
How dare you classify this slop as food?
What?
I've seen more appetizing...
Didn't make it clear the first time. Scram.
There's nothing else I can make, Your Majesty. Turnips and water are all I was given.
What? Didn't make it clear the...
A scruffy man land.
What's your...
Rolling his eyes at the Majesty, he leans in.
Pinches.
Hocking it.
We used to
Step out.
say long. No, the day. Wonder if he's in a...
What name?
Your Majesty. Maybe that has the Magister's more...
Magister
Away with...
Ifan before... Ifan raises his eyebrows, but shakes his head.
What?
The woman keeps rolling.
Lucky find.
Never thought you'd end up a prison guard, Vic.
That right. I always knew you'd turn out rotten, Ben-Nest. Your kind always hung closest to our divine, like wolves around a campfire.
Boring.
Well, you've got this wolf on a leash now.
As soon as the Inquisitor gets here,
This again?
I'll hand you right over the side of this ship with it.
This again? Rubbish.
Never thought you'd end up a prison guard, Vic.
That right. I always knew you'd turn out rotten, Ben-Nest. Your kind always hung closest to our divine, like wolves around a campfire.
Well, you've got this wolf on a leash now.
As soon as the Inquisitor gets here, we'll hand you right over the side of this ship with it.
Keep those bolts trained on her, and if she tries to run, shoot
That
to
right.
kill.
I always knew
You
you'd
seem
turn
on
out
edge,
rotten,
officer.
Ben-Nest.
What on earth is the matter?
Your
Murder
kind
most
always
foul,
hung closest
and
to
I
our
strongly
divine,
suspect you
like
know all about
wolves
it.
around a campfire.
Do you? Well, perhaps you're
You've got this
absolutely
wolf on
right.
a leash now.
As soon as the Inquisitor gets here, we'll hand you
Junk.
right over the side of this ship with it.
It was one of them. I know it.
Put a knuckle in it. I'm trying to concentrate.
You seem on edge, officer. What on earth is the matter?
Murder most foul, and I strongly suspect you know all about it.
Do you? Well,
One of us will
perhaps
kill
you're
our own.
absolutely
They're
right.
picking us off one by one.
Can we just skip to the part where I reassure you and you shut up?
You think me mad?
Mad? No. Insufferable? Surely.
What are you trying to hear anyway?
I'll tell you if you can keep it quiet long enough for me to listen.
keep those bolts trained on her, and if she tries to run, shoot to kill.
You seem on edge, officer. What on earth is the matter?
Murder most foul, and I strongly suspect you know all about it.
Do you?
Boring.
Perhaps you're absolutely right.
Standing at the center of the room, you spot a sorcerer haughtily eyeing a pair of nervous-looking magisters. They keep their crossbow trained upon her as she's being interrogated by an officer.
So you admit it then? You murdered that poor fella?
Yes, I did. But of course, that was only the beginning.
She turns her head and looks you straight in the eye.
There are others whose lives must end.
Good God, the woman's mad. You there, sorcerer! Go and fetch Magister Siwan. We need to do more than collar this maniac. We need to shackle her, hands and feet.
It means your journey draws to a close. Do stick around for its finale, though, because...
She reaches for her collar and simply removes it.
I'm just about to create a scene.
Subdue her, men, quickly! If she casts source, the Voidwoken will come. They'll end us all.
She smiles with wicked satisfaction.
Precisely. No, I'm afraid I always perform my parts solo. Do stay and watch, though, because...
She reaches for her collar.
I'm just about...
Subdue her, men, quickly! If
She smiles with wicked satisfaction.
By all means, do as the officer says, but you had better hurry, because...
She reaches for her collar and...
I'm just a...
Subdue her, men, quickly!
She smiles with wicked...
Till overhauling a bit of capital was a crime, I
My mask! She stole it. If these savages see me without it, they will have my skull for a goblet.
The Magister lies on the floor, unconscious and bleeding from a dire-looking wound. The Magister lies on the floor.
The hatch is blocked. I'll need to find another way.
Damn. That doesn't bode well. Onwards and upwards. God damn it! I need to get off this wreck. And quick.
Thank the gods! But divine grace, what was...
He eyes the collar circling your neck and reaches a hand towards his blade.
Another sorcerer!
The Magister's companion doesn't blink, frozen in place at the sight of you.
Like you don't know? Mutiny! Did that witch fix your collar too?
He whispers loudly to the other Magister.
Don't just cower there, Rix! Take out your blade!
Rix grabs his sword, which shakes in the rhythm of his trembling hand. The Magisters look to each other, then back to you, and unsheath their blades with a metallic zing.
Your lies end here! Get him! Even if I knew how to rip that thing off, I wouldn't. Some crazy banshee comes screaming through, and now we got void bugs swarming up top! Sorcerer mutiny!
He whispers loudly to the other.
Don't just cower there, Rix!
Rix grabs his sword, which shakes in the rhythm of his trembling hand. Rix looks to his companion, who then looks to you. They drop their hands to their sides.
Go on then. Find a place to hide and stay there. You need to find a hiding place. And quick.
What will happen to us?
He leaps to attention, then whispers loudly to the other Magister.
Don't just cower there, Rix. Take out your blade. Even if I knew...
He whispers
Don't just cower there.
Rix grabs his sword, which shakes in the rhythm of his trembling hand. The Magisters look to each other, then back to...
Your lies end here. Get him! Then the mutiny ends here.
Rix look...
Go on then.
And you thought Rivellon was flat.
The human's chief, Alexander. A curious name, but no more bizarre than anything else that species does.
The hound paws desperately at its snout. It winces as it draws blood from its wet black nose and continues scratching. The dog notices you for the first time and snarls, the hairs on its back prickling as it lowers itself into a lunge.
Sorcerer!
It sneezes suddenly and paws at its nose once more.
Can't smell. Can't breathe. Too much sauce. Too much. Too much. Please, make it stop. Sorcerer.
The dog whines and continues pawing at its nose.
Long before this thing snaps into splinters.
The dog notices you for the first time and snarls. It sneezes.
Can't smell. Please, make it stop. Too much. Too much. Can't smell. Can't breathe.
The dog whines and continues. The hound sees you reach for your weapon and growls, baring sharp, white teeth.
Too much.
The dog.
Not long before this thing snaps into splinters.
Great gods! Something's pounding on the hull.
The marking on the door was painted recently, judging from its pungent scent. You recognize the symbol immediately for what it is, a warning of death fog within. You press your palm against the door to open it. Your fingers clack against the wood, and you suddenly feel grey. The touch leaves you numb, dull. The moment you touch the door, greyness seeps into your bones. You are hollow. It doesn't budge. The door groans open, but an ashen shadow clouds your mind.
Death fog? Good thing I'm immune. Still, this means trouble. More. I need to get off this. get off this ship.
A lifeboat! That means there's still a chance.
Go on, kid, climb up there and dig at the rope.
Oh, my ball! You do it!
If you can walk, get yourself up the ladder. There's a... Wait! Void woken!
These beardless bugs won't sink the ship on my watch.
They who are about to try...
I thought Void Woken was supposed to be scary.
Let the games begin.
I'll yield to none!
I've faced worse. They smell even worse dead than alive. Let's head about deck.
There's no time.
I have plans for you, child. Rise.
Honorable Dallas, we lost a ship sailing sorcerer prisoners to Fort Joy. We assume some escaped and broke their collars. Their vile magic lured the Voidwoken. All who were aboard are presumed dead. Yours faithfully into eternity, High Judge Oriven.
Well, that was decidedly unpleasant. Am I the lone survivor? Depending on one's definition of survivor, of course.
Go on, kid. Climb up there and dig in the rope.
Oh.
Shut your trap, kid. Children and dwarfs first, just like the old stories say.
The dwarf yanks at one of the nearby ropes to no avail.
You said there were other people down there. We need to help them.
You see those tentacles, kid? It's time for getting the hell out of here.
Thank you, thank you, thank you! There's a ladder right over there. You can go straight down.
You're gonna be the death of us, you hear?
Thank you! There's a ladder right over...
You're gonna be the death of us, you hear? Hear that, kid? We need to go!
But what about the ladder? It's right over there. You can go straight down. Thank you!
You're gonna be the death... Hear that, kid?
But what about...
people down there.
Voidwoken. Those are the same beasts that sank our ship. Damn. They made it to shore. I thought these bloody collars were supposed to keep those things at bay. Drowned and eaten by a Voidwoken. I wonder in which order.
Look here, Quercus. Another giant. My word, this blasted isle is teeming with them. What's that? Yes, I did see how it made short work of the great acorn's servants. Quite right, very impressive. But that is no reason to trust it. Giants like that destroyed our forests. They are the very reason the great acorn is returning in all its wrath. What? Dear me, have you taken leave of all 6 of your senses? You would have me use this giant for a shield? Why would I... Oh, I see. You cunning devil, Quercus. Of course, if it defeated the great acorn's vile servants, it can do so again. We need only follow in its big, wide shadow and be safe. Egad, it speaks our tongue, Quercus. Hush before... What do you mean, a good time for introductions? You know full well who I am, you silly old cat. The great Solora, grandest of the... Oh, introduce myself to the giant. I shall do no such thing. You give away your trust too easily, my dear steed. No, we will have the giant march. In time, we'll see whether it deserves our confidence. Now, onwards! Shield! Venture forth, post-haste. The great acorn waits for no one. Egad! What do you mean, a good time for... Oh, No, we will have the... Now, onwards! Egad! What do you mean, a good time for introductions? You... Our shield speaks, Quercus! Prick up your phantom ear! Egad! What do you mean, a good time? Oh, introduce myself to... No. Now, onward! Our shield speaks, Quercus! Prick up your phantom ears!
The squirrel looks at you in shock. Are you sure you want to chase him away? The squirrel turns his nose up at you and turns away. But his cat seems more than happy to tag along, dragging its owner with it.
Our shield speaks, Quercus! Prick up...
The squirrel looks at you in shock. Are you sure?
Ah! It speaks to us, Quercus! As if it had any right. Honestly, some creatures deserve everything the great acorn has in store for them. Come, we don't have time to waste on the doomed. Dear me! It has questions, Quercus. Why, yes, I suppose answering them is the polite thing to do. Speak! Shield! What are your queries? A giant body, but no giant brain, eh, Quercus? Surely even the tall folk know that Rivellon was bare before the great acorn fell from above and seeded the Irwood, covering this land in beautiful, perfect forests. Beautiful and perfect until the giant races, no offense, realized they could use it to build their houses and fuel their fires. They carved the Irwood up, and the forests shrank and shrank. None of the original wood remains. But someday, The great acorn will fall again. The forests will be reborn, and the giant races will be wiped from this world. At least that's what I hear. Oh, Quercus, it wants answers. As if it is the first creature to ponder the big questions of the universe. What tree did the great acorn fall from? Where did that tree come from, if not a greater acorn? Could you build a nest great enough to store the great acorn for the winter? Some questions have no answers. Quercus, why is that so difficult to understand? The great acorn will come. It will destroy the world, and squirrels will reign supreme forever. I fail to see what's so difficult to grasp. What do you say, Quercus? We once believed it was good, but now... No, quite right. As terrible as the giants have been to us, we do not want to see them wiped out. Rather, we must find a way to live together in peace, giant and squirrel. Natural? The gall, Quercus. I'll not take that from the least natural creatures to walk this land. You don't even have flesh, for goodness sake. No offense, Quercus. Come, my boy. We have far more important things to deal with. Saving this world, for one.
Solora stops short, then shakes his head and pats Quercus affectionately.
Squirrels change, don't they, Quercus? Priorities change. If we do not adapt, we are sure to perish. Although it would be quite a bit easier to get along if the giants would stop turning our home forests into spears and ships and things, wouldn't it, Quercus? Perhaps the shield will let them know as much. Indeed, Quercus. Let's be off. My, the giant takes notice of its charges. Ask away, shield. A giant body, surely, beautiful, they... But someday, the great... Indeed...
You spot a strange lizard gazing over the water with a steady, malcontent stare. His skin is of a bright, blood-red color. Could he be... Yes, you recognize him from the ship. It would seem you're not the only one who survived the tentacles of the deep. The lizard turns about with the graceful ease of a dancer, or a duelist. You lock eyes with his, two smouldering embers that sizzle your very soul.
I did survive, yes. And chances are I wouldn't have, had you not returned to the aid of your fellow passengers down in that dreadful hold. You have my gratitude.
Hand over heart, he salutes you with a bob of the head. More than a nod, though less than a bow.
Yes, I'm sure you've all the makings of a hero and all that, but let's not get carried away, shall we? Nevertheless, one good turn does deserve another, so as far as the whole slave business is concerned, let's just forget about it. You may as well have your freedom. Now then, if there's nothing further...
He watches you depart without a word, then turns back to face the sea.
Yes, I thought there was nothing further.
The lizard turns about with a graceful...
And a dutiful servant you are too. The chances are I wouldn't have survived that shipwreck had you not returned to the aid of your master down that dreadful hold. You have my gratitude.
Hand over heart, he salutes you with a bob of the head. More than a nod, though less than a bow.
Yes, I'm sure you've all the makings of a... Nevertheless, one good turn does deserve another, so... Now then, if there's nothing further...
He watches you depart without a word. The lizard turns about with the graceful ease of a dancer, or...
Yes, I imagine you do. You're made of sterner stuff than I first gave you credit for. Chances are I wouldn't have survived the shipwreck had you not returned to the aid of your fellow passengers down in that dreadful hold. You have my...
Hand over heart, he salutes you with a bob of the head. More than a nod, though less than a bow.
My gratitude is worth a great deal, if only you'd realize it. But of course you don't, so we'll leave it at that. As for the slave thing, let's forget. Now then, if there's nothing further...
He watches you depart without a word, then turns back to face the sea.
Yes, I thought there was nothing further. I'm sure I don't mean to sound condescending, but I had thought it quite self-evident I was gazing out over the waves.
He sighs dramatically.
Tell me, what do you see when you cast your glance over this ocean? Memories. Quite so.
He looks out over the water once more, and so do you. A few tranquil moments pass as the waves lap against your thoughts.
As for myself, when I consider this vast expanse before us, I see an empire. I see continents dotted with mighty cities. And shimmering along the soft curve of the sea's horizon, I picture the palaces that formed my paradise. Lost. What do you mean, what do I mean? I mean just what I say. I had a very actual empire that I lost.
Suddenly, having all the air of being deeply offended, he stares at you with utter incredulity.
Well, don't just stand there gawking like an ape at an abacus. Or do you really mean to tell me you don't know who I am? Oh, may the Seven have mercy on their own creation. I am the Red Prince, the All-Conqueror, the World-Tamer, the spouse of the sun. Of course you know me.
There's a brief moment's pause. during which his grandiloquent pose deflates ever so slightly.
That said, I suppose I must own up to the fact that I find myself rather in between all-conquering and world-taming opportunities at the moment. The grandeur that is my fate has hit a bit of a snag. But never you worry. For the throne I was destined, and my throne I shall have. Then by all means, dash.
He watches you depart without another word, then turns back to face the sea.
Yes, I'm still here, contemplating my throne. Then by all means...
He watches you depart.